Hey loves, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is much different than any video that I've ever done before. It's sort of a chit chat with you guys. A subscriber of mine, her name is Naya. Sorry Naya if I'm pronouncing your name wrong, and I'm reading from my laptop, but she asks, can you do a video on confidence after having a baby, please? First of all, I want to say sorry for my lateness on this video. I filmed it last week and it just did not come out right. I feel like I didn't send the message that I wanted to send in that video, so I decided I wanted to film it over. And I also want to say sorry for the background. I was trying to film this video on that camera facing that way, and it just, I don't know what's wrong with my camera, but it's giving me an error message. But I really wanted to get this message out. The way I was raised was to not necessarily fake it till you make it, but we don't always have it or have it together, and you have to find a way to find peace in yourself with what you're going through and sort of walk the walk, talk the talk is what I mean. So be confident, walk with your head up high. You can be going through the worst storm of your life, and no one needs to know that except for you. You don't have to go to Facebook for support or for a pity party. You don't have to go to Instagram or any kind of social media. Learn how to use resources that are around you to deal with your problems. The way that it's best for me to kind of give you guys advice is to sort of put myself in you guys' shoes and give you guys my experiences and tell you what I did. So for me, during my pregnancy, Derek and I went through a lot, you know, financially, emotionally. I had a mother-in-law who did not approve of us being together. She did not approve of us having a baby, and she's right here in our element. And so it kind of tore us apart, and it was like our only problem. Of course, we having money problems as well, but sort of dealing with that negativity and having that right there hovering over us the entire 9 months was very hard. And you know, I had to find a place for me to go, and for me it was YouTube. I started filming my videos, and that's how I got my start here. Was every day I would just vlog my journey, and it was sort of a release where I wasn't really vlogging with Derek or with family and friends. It just sort of was in my own time. I would turn on the camera and just talk and talk and talk, and that was how I released what I was feeling. So when my son was born, that was my intentions, but when he came, I sort of had the baby blues, and it just felt like, when I had my son, you know, I was coming out of a situation where my mother-in-law for months, she didn't approve of us having a baby. She doesn't approve of our relationship, and she caused a lot of turmoil, not only in our relationship, but just, you know, when you have someone who is always negative and they're in your element, you're in this situation together. On top of that, you're having money problems. It made me and Derek fight a lot, and it made us have our problems. So it was almost like, as soon as Diamond was born, like all the negativity went away, and it was like my mother-in-law had moved away. Financially, you know, we were getting back on track and everything was good. I had no reason to be sad, but at the same time I was sad, you know. I had the help and had the support of my godparents, and just so many good things were happening for us, but it just still felt like I went through baby blues. You know, here I am, a new mother. I'm much heavier than I've ever been in my life. I am expected to do everything for this baby. You know, he wakes up, I'm responsible for diapers, I'm responsible for taking care of him, I'm responsible literally from the day that we came home, or the day that we were in the hospital. Like, as soon as we, you know, all our guests went home and all of that stuff, like, Derek was able to roll over and go to sleep because he was exhausted. Mind you, I was the one who had went into labor, so, you know, I stayed up all night, like literally the entire time we were in the hospital. The 2 days following us having the baby, I probably got like 2 hours of sleep. And so it was like, from that point even till now, like, I don't get the sleep that I need, and I've learned how to compromise with that and deal with that and just sort of go with it. I've definitely got a thicker skin since I've had my son, because it's hard, you know. I have to change all his diapers every day. I have to make sure he eats. He breastfeeds, and it hurts, you know, especially in the beginning. He cries there's nothing I can do but console him. You know, I'm tired. It doesn't really matter. You know, you have this new responsibility. And for some people, you know, they're single parents. And honestly, I don't know how they do it, because even though, you know, I do bath time, I do diaper time, I do feeding time, I, you know, make sure his skin is moisturized, I make sure his clothes are washed, you know, I do the majority of everything for him and Derek. And Derek is a provider financially, so it balances, but at the same time, it's still a lot, you know. When Derek thinks about his responsibilities, it's a lot, you know. Would I want to trade with him? Probably not. Would he want to trade with me? Probably not. We do what we're supposed to do, and it works for us, but that doesn't mean that I'm always okay. You know what I mean? And it doesn't mean that he's always okay. And it's hard to explain, but like I said, in order to cope with what you go through, you have to sort of fake it till you make it, you know. I remember my mom always saying that when I was younger, and I never really understood it until I got older. But you know, you see all these people on Facebook who go and they pour out their lives and their hearts, and they tell other business, and I don't agree with that. You know, I would definitely never ever recommend you go to Facebook and think that that's going to be your Dr. Phil, because it's a bunch of people who don't know you, don't care, or thrive off the fact that you're doing bad. So I choose what I post on social media. You know, I probably just finished crying in the shower, and you wouldn't know it when I post my selfie. You would not know that, because when I'm sad, I don't put that out into the universe. I only put the happy moments out in the universe, and it doesn't make me perfect. You know, I'm able to identify with my flaws. I'm comfortable in my skin, but I don't need you to know when I'm sad. I don't need you to know that Derek and I argued today. I don't need you to know that my son is teething and like I'm on the floor crying about it. You know, these are the things that are meant for Derek and I to deal with together. You know, that is the purpose of having a partner. And I know that not everybody has that, but you have to find someone who you can trust and rely on. Be it a parent, a grandparent, a cousin, an aunt, a friend. Find someone. You know, if you want to go see a psychiatrist or psychologist, I support you in that. I even told Derek, you know, at some point we need a counselor, you know, because we both have been through a lot in our lives and a lot in this relationship, but we need to talk to somebody about that is biased or unbiased, to either side, and just get through it. You know what I mean? Like when I first had my son, I thought I was going to be able to vlog every day. I thought we were going to move into a house, and I was, you know, staying with my godmother, and Derek was in LA during the week for work, and he would be with us on the weekends, and it was hard. You know, I would be up countless hours with my son, you know, a shower, brushing my teeth, you know, those things were bonuses. Like if I got that done, a shower, brush my teeth, comb my hair, my son was all the way together, I made up the bed today, that was like a successful day in the beginning for me. And some nights I would just hop in the shower, and that would be like my escape, and that would be where like Diamond is asleep. I have the shower curtain literally open so that I can watch him while he sleeps, because I don't want anything to happen to him, and I'm afraid and terrified of all these things happening to him, which, you know, new mothers definitely, which is something that new mothers definitely go through. So I'm in the shower, and I'm just bawling. I'm bawling. There were times when, you know, I'm feeding him, and whether it was, you know, the pain from breastfeeding or just thoughts in my head, and I would just be bawling, and baby sensed that. Like, Diamond, if he's on me breastfeeding and I'm crying, he stops and he looks at me. He just dead stares at me like, what is going on? And he doesn't understand that I'm crying, but, you know, he knows something's wrong, you know? So you definitely have to get it out. Get the anger, get the frustration, get the stress, get all of that out. Work out, take a walk, take a breath, ask for help. Cry. Crying is the biggest stress reliever, because I've cried like runny eyes, red nails, and Derek doesn't even know this. My godparents, when I lived with them, they didn't know this. Like, I would cry myself to sleep sometimes. I would cry in the shower, because first of all these emotions and all of these hormones that have changed in your body over 9 months instantly have to go back into place. And so, you know, you have all these crazy thoughts in your heads, and you're just sad. Sorry, my camera cut off, but as I was saying, I was just in a I won't say I was in a dark place, because I was happy. I was smiling. I was on Instagram. I was on Facebook. And I sort of had to just say, I had to go back to what my mom always taught me, and that was, you know, see the glass half full and not half empty. And I know that may sound retarded, but it works. It's like, I just had a baby. I don't have any money. I don't know where I'm going to go. Of course you're going to cry. Of course you're going to be sad. But the moment you say, I have a new baby, my baby is healthy, and I have a fresh start to make something happen, it's the same thing, but you're looking at it two different ways. And so for me and Derek, it was like, we have a new baby, and this is the time to be happy and to celebrate. And, you know, he would come down for the weekends, and he would fight with me, and it would make me cry, because it was like, here I am with a new baby, and this is something we both wanted. We both signed up for this, and we both planned for this, and here we are fighting all the time, and I don't know what I'm gonna do. Like, I honestly was like, we're gonna break up, you know what I mean? And I was sad about that, but I had to wake up one day and just be like, my son is healthy, I'm healthy, Derek is healthy, and no matter what, I need to be positive, and I need to, instead of, Derek is going through something, just like I was going through something, he was going through something, and we handle it differently. So his way was shutting me out and sort of fighting with me, because he felt guilty that Diamond and I were not in a home with him where we should be. And so when he would come down, and it was like, I've spent all week with Diamond, and I've been able to bond with him and learn how to be a parent. So when he comes down for these few days, I'm teaching him how to change a diaper properly. I'm teaching him what I learned for the week. And it was sort of like, he would jump to a defense, like I was trying to control him or control the baby or something. And it was like, that was never my objective. But when you come into it on a defense, which is what he did, it sort of put us in turmoil. So it was like, I had to just step back and just watch him with Diamond, and it just would be like so sad, because it would be like, okay, I'm gonna run and get us something to eat, for example, and the moment I leave, Diamond would cry, and Derek would get frustrated. But it was like, you don't want my advice, you don't want me to tell you what will help him not cry when I'm not around, but I don't want to see my baby cry. Or, you know, when he comes down, he'll give him a bath, and it would be like, you're doing it wrong, and I know you wouldn't intentionally hurt the baby, but I've been doing this, and I'm not a pro at it, but I'm doing it, and I'm doing it well. Let me tell you what works, because I used to do it how you do it, and I'm not trying to come down on you. I'm not trying to fight with you. And it just, you know, for a while, I just had to see it. And then, like, I had, of course, the support of my godparents, who had to kind of tell me, you know, take a step back and just let him do it his way. And when he realizes he's doing it wrong, he'll come to you and he'll ask you for a better way to do things, or a better way to handle things. And it worked, you know what I mean? Don't fight with your spouse. Don't fight with your spouse. You've had this baby, you've bonded for this baby for 9 months, and you feel like no one in this world can protect this baby the way you can. So it is hard to see a man who is not as emotionally attached to the child as you are. It's hard to see them, you know, bond with the baby and it not be exactly the way you would do it. But you have to let the parent, the other parent, the father, do their part and learn their own way. And, you know, just remember that your son's father is not going to do anything to hurt them, no matter how dangerous he looks, and no matter how, you know, wait for another time to explain. Like with Derek, I learned that when he's in the moment and he's doing something, let him do it wrong. And then tomorrow when we're laid up on the couch or out having fun, bring it up when we're all in a great mood and he's open. You know your spouse, and you know how they receive things in a positive way. So I would have to wait till, like, we're having a good time and he brings it up, or we're talking in a good way and not just in that moment. And that worked for me. You know, be like, you know, we're out, for example, out to eat, and he takes a lug at me, you know what I'm saying, and I not dish it back in a fight, but just, you know, tell him, you know, you don't change his diaper right. You see how, you know, he has marks around him from the diaper because you put it too tight, or you know, you hold him and you whatever the case may be, you give him a bath and he cries his whole bath. He never cries with me when he takes a bath. It's because you're doing it wrong. Or, you know, talk to him when you do these things, because it's a big difference. When he's with me, I talk to him. So when you do it, he just doesn't feel the same love and same comfort, and it helps and it works. And when you are able to send that message out to your spouse, and what am I trying to say? When you send it out to your spouse in a caring way, in a zone or a mode when he's not directly in it, it helps, because you're gonna bicker with your spouse, and it's gonna feel like you're at the end, and it's gonna feel like, here I am, I had this baby, you know, I didn't know this is what I signed up for. I didn't know that we were going to fight. I didn't know I was going to be stressed. I didn't know I was going to be emotionally distraught. I didn't know that I wasn't going to get any sleep. And even when people told you, I didn't know it was going to feel like this, but it does feel like this, and it's hard. But I woke up every day and I smiled. I got up every day and I had a checklist of things that I needed to do. And I wasn't doing any work. I wasn't doing any YouTube, but make sure that I brush my hair, make sure that I take a shower, make sure that I brush my teeth, make sure that I eat 3 meals, make sure that I drink 4 or 5 bottles of water, make sure that I take my trash out. These things helped, you know, to write it down and make sure that I did everything that I was supposed to do. And as Diamond got older and I learned more, I added more to my checklist, and I felt accomplished. You know, take a walk with your baby. Your baby's exercises, their tummy time, massage your legs, give them a bath massage at night. Those things, seeing your baby happy, seeing your baby healthy, seeing your baby growing and thriving, it's going to help you feel more confident as a mother. You know, crying, like I said, nobody needs to know you're crying. Derek to this day doesn't know that I used to cry as much as I cried. But I would do it in the shower. And I think I got caught one time by my godmother. She came in the room and I was like bawling, and, you know, I had to give in to tell her what was wrong. And I wasn't in a position where I wanted anybody to know that, because it felt like if they see me crying, they're gonna think I'm going through, you know, what do you call it, postpartum depression, or it's gonna stress Derek out, and we're gonna fight about that, and I didn't want that. And here's Diamond. I know you guys can hear him in the background, but I didn't want that. I didn't want people to think that, you know, I didn't have it together, because if you see me crying, that is a sign of weakness. And if I'm weak, that means I'm depressed. I can't handle it. And that was the scariest thought ever. So I hid it, and I hid it well. But like I said, I cried. In a 7-day week, I probably cried 4 days out of the week, and I just let them bawl. I let it come out, and after I cried, I felt so good, and I felt so energized, and I felt so ready to get something accomplished, because I let go of that negative energy. You know, every day was like, I got to the point where I got the hang of being his mother, and, you know, doing things, and it was like every day research new ways to be a good parent online, you know, go through and you know, keep up. I had already deleted all of the baby apps off of my phone from my pregnancy, and it was like, download some of them back and interact in these groups that you were interacting in, because 9 times out of 10 those mommies are going through the same thing that you're going through, and sometimes worse, you know. And so I did that, you know, and it got to the point where it was like, now I feel like I can sort of get back to filming a little bit. I can get back to being myself. I can get back to social media, you know. And for me, it was put a little makeup on today and take a selfie. That made me feel good, you know what I mean? Instagram, YouTube, you know, like I said, I got my start with YouTube when I was in a bad place during my pregnancy, and it was sort of my outlet, and it turned into my passion. And I'm forever grateful for that, because I love YouTube, and I don't always have the time now. Like with Diamond being almost 6 months old, I still don't have the time to put a video out every day the way I want to, because I'm still learning how to be his mother. I'm still learning how to, you know, respond positively when he fusses, but not hold him every time he fusses, because that's my problem now. You know, he's almost 6 months, and it's like, he has to be held all the time when he's awake, or else I can't get anything done, or he cries, you know. So that's something that I'm dealing with now at 6 months. And it's like, you know, be careful what you complain about, because with him, you know, his bed is 11:30 at night. I don't go to sleep sometimes until 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, because I've gotten accustomed to not getting any sleep. So now no matter what I do, if I don't drink any caffeine, I've worked my butt off for the day with him and other things, I still cannot sleep. And so, you know, it's like he does not sleep unless I put him to sleep. You know, when it comes to his bedtime, he knows bedtime and he knows mommy. So if it's 11:30 or anywhere near that time and I want to do something, he will not let Derek put him to sleep. He will not. And, you know, I may joke about it sometimes and say, oh, he's a little bugaboo. Not in a bad way, not in a negative way. But if you watch Little Toy Forever, I know she calls her daughter Bug sometimes. And Bug came from bugaboo. But when I had my son, I understood that, you know, because he always wants mommy. He always wants my attention. And the moment that he gives Derek the same attention that he gives me, it kind of makes me a little bit jealous. So it makes me understand where Derek comes from when he gets jealous when Diamond prefers me. And it makes me appreciate, you know, times when I'm like, oh, I wish, you know, he would just go to Derek for a little while and be okay so that I can get this done. Because when he does actually do it, I'm like, no, you're supposed to want mommy. You're only supposed to want mommy, yeah. But he's growing up and he's getting so strong. He's getting so independent. And it's just sort of like where I've dropped the ball is I wanted to work out more often. I wanted to maintain my YouTube a lot better. But becoming a new mom was hard for me. I felt like I handled it well overall. I felt like I learned a lot. I tried to be Miss Independent and do it myself. And, you know, I'm grateful that I lived with my godmother for the first 3 months of my life, because where I'm like, I know what I'm doing and I got it because Google told me this and Google told me that. She'd come in the room and like, what are you doing? You know, you're giving him baths in the sink when he should be in the tub already. And I'm like, but he's too little to go in the tub. He's supposed to be sink. No, his booty sinks. He needs a bath in the tub. And, you know, all those things. So I was grateful for that support. And I was grateful that whatever the stars aligned the way they did, because, you know, when Derek and I were financially strapped, when we went through things with my mother-in-law, it prepared me to be his mother. It gave me thicker skin, and there was a lesson in that I was supposed to learn. You know, when I first found out I was pregnant, my major prayer was always, prepare me for this baby, prepare me to be the best mother I can be, prepare me to be his superwoman for the rest of my life. And I never want him to think that I'm perfect. You know, I want him to grow with me always, and to see mommy make mistakes and see mommy come out of those mistakes in a positive way. And it starts now, you know what I mean? I don't argue around him. I don't fight around him. You know, I just want him to be happy, and I don't want him to live in this world with rose color shades, or however they say it. I want him to know the real thing about life, and not everybody is good and all that, but that he needs to be good and to always live his life, you know. I gotta say it in my mouth, but to always live his life, you know, thinking positively. You know, we're in a bad situation, think of the glass half full, because that was one of the things my mother beat into my head so many times, and I didn't understand it until I became an adult. But like I said, we went through hell when I was pregnant, and we sort of kind of had to say, like, Derek and I had to say, like, look at me, focus on me, and we had to focus on each other through it all, and just sort of go through it, you know, go through the trenches and go through hard times where we didn't know we were gonna live, and, you know, just say, you know, we're gonna come out of this, and we're gonna come out of this okay, but God is trying to teach us something, so let's learn this lesson. Let's not cry about it. Let's not, you know, be sad about it. Let's work and get out of it, and let's receive this blessing and receive this lesson, because I would rather go through what I went through with Derek while I was pregnant any day over while Diamond was here. Like, I don't know what I would do if we were in the financial hardship that we were. I don't know what I would do if we were in the turmoil that we were in, you know, with my in-laws during that time, because right now, going through this type of stuff, I would probably snap. You know, the disrespect and all that, I wouldn't be able to handle it with him here. So I learned my lesson from it all. And I'm grateful for it because I prayed for it. You know what I mean? So my advice to you, Naya, my advice to anyone who is watching this video is just to own your situation. I don't know what you're going through. I don't know where you've been in life or what, you know, is to come for you. But I can say that I've been through a lot. and I still smile a lot. You know, if you go to my Instagram, if you go to my Facebook, it's not a facade. It's not about photoshopping my pictures or editing my pictures. It's about living in my truth. And my truth is I choose to be happy. You know what I mean? I could be sad, I could be bitter, I could be hurt, I could be stressed, I could be depressed, but I choose to be happy. And I choose to genuinely be happy. And it started with me faking it till I make it, so to speak, and letting it out, you know, when things are bad, and utilizing my resources. You know, talk to your spouse, talk to somebody in your family, you know, talk to yourself. For me, it was YouTube. You know, I talked to a camera and I just rambled and rambled and rambled and rambled, and I'd post it for the world to see, and then I would watch it back myself, and it was therapeutic to see. You know, sometimes when you just talk and you just talk and you talk and you talk, maybe that'd be a good thing for you to just turn on the camera and just talk. You know, create a YouTube channel and keep it private. Keep all your videos private and just sort of make it a diary through your journey so that you can see your progress. You don't have to put your business out there to anybody, but you can still get the same benefit by talking to a camera. Because even now, sometimes I'll go back and look at my old pregnancy vlogs, and it was like, wow, I felt that way. Wow, I did that. Wow, I said that. Wow, I was going through that, you know. And I don't even remember that. You know what I mean? I remember the times. I remember the experience. But I don't remember feeling that way. And so I'm happy I can look back at that. To me, it's priceless. You know what I mean? Write in a diary if you want to. Whatever you choose, but just find your outlet. You know what I mean? For me, it's makeup. For me, it's YouTube. Every single day, if I get nothing accomplished except for getting him together and getting Derek together, making sure that they're okay, I spend 10 minutes and I do my makeup. So boom, I have my me time for the day, and during that time I'll turn on my music or whatever, and Diamond is right here asleep. I got my headphones in and I'm blasting my music and I paint my face, and that is enough for me on a daily basis. That is all I need. And then at the end of the night, after I have cooked dinner, I cook dinner every night, and that's becoming something I'm starting to enjoy, and that's therapeutic. Cleaning is something I hated growing up, but it's starting to become therapeutic when I clean. I get in the shower every single night, and sometimes Derek will watch Diamond. Sometimes Diamond is asleep. Sometimes Diamond is right there in the seat, in this little seat right here on the floor, right in front of the shower door, watching me take a shower. And I still do it. My favorite way to take a shower, even before Diamond came along, and Derek used to think I was weird, but I would literally light my candles, because you guys know I'm obsessed with Bath and Body Works candles, and turn the lights off, turn on some music very low, and just zone out. Showers make me feel really good, and if I have a shower at the end of the day, to just wipe away the day, wipe away my makeup, to wipe away my worries, talk to God sometimes, cry sometimes, listen to music, which is therapy for me. I'm in there for half an hour and I come out and I feel so refreshed and I sleep so much better. So do something for yourself every single day. You know, like I said, put on a cute outfit if you like clothes. Put on some makeup if you like makeup. You know, eat a little bit healthier today. You're going to feel accomplished. Or take a walk, do a workout, get on your floor in your room and do 100 crunches twice that day. It's going to make you feel better. And in the long run, feeling better, being happy is going to make your child a happier baby, because happy babies come from happy parents. And I can't stress that enough, because I feel so blessed every day. And even being here, you know, being in this place where I'm blessed, sometimes I cry. And I don't sit in this bed and cry. I don't sit in this bed and make myself a pity party. I get up in the morning with Derek. I get up before him. I make his breakfast. I make my coffee. And I make it my mission to not lay back down the rest of the day, so that I can make sure that I'm tired at night. And when I go to bed, I'm exhausted. And I still be up. You know what I mean? But when you lay in bed and you look a mess, and it's 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and you haven't brushed your teeth and you haven't done your hair, you're gonna feel a mess. You're gonna feel how you live. But when you got up and you brushed your teeth and you brushed your hair and you got your baby dressed and you did his hair, and y'all ain't got nowhere to go, but you feel accomplished and you feel good about yourself and you look good. And I don't know, that's just my opinion of it. This is my boss. You don't own me, but you run me. I take care of him, and my reward is that he takes care of me. Him smiling, him being happy is the biggest gift and the biggest blessing in the world. You know what I mean? And so if you need help, get help. You know, if you're overwhelmed, if you're thinking bad thoughts, scary thoughts, negative thoughts, get help. You know, you never want to harm yourself. You never want to harm your child. You never want to be stressed. If your baby is crying all the time and sad all the time, maybe that negative energy that you are putting on yourself is, you know, directly transferring to him. You don't want that, or her. You know what I mean? So get help. Find somebody to help you. Find somebody to talk to. Find somebody or something. Social media. Not Facebook, but YouTube in a proper way. Like I said, make videos, put them on private. And maybe one day you'll be able to look back at your journey and maybe make those videos public to help somebody else. If you're feeling bad and you're scared about it, call somebody and say, you know, I'm thinking bad thoughts. I'm not in a good place. Take my baby for 2 days. Whatever it takes, just don't ever feel like you're alone in anything, because 9 times out of 10, every mother that you know in some way, shape, or form went through it. Whether it was with all their kids, some of their kids, one of their kids, somehow, some way, they went through it, including me. So again, we thank you guys for your support. We're going to continue cranking out these videos. As Diamond gets bigger, he's going to get on the schedule so mommy can film. Because mommy's videos can't all look like this with this guy, you know. Huh. I want to kiss you, but I got a lipstick. Yeah. But your baby's going to consume your life. So this is what it is to be a mom. This is what it is to be a parent. You know what I mean? He comes first. So thank you guys for watching. We love you guys. And we'll see you guys in the next one. Say bye-bye. Bye-bye, Jordan. Bye. Kiss. No kissing. Bye, guys.